Hello, you're listening to Count Richard Von Coudenhove kalergi. Today is Friday, December the 28th, and here's a couple of comments since my last video. In Canada, a Canadian man, Eunice Catarada, has told young Muslims in a sermon that it is with great sadness he had witnessed Muslims wishing non-Muslims a Merry Christmas, and some taking part in their celebrations as well. What are you congratulating them on? Are you approving of their beliefs? If a person were to commit every major sin, adultery, lying, murder, notice he forgot to mention rape, they are nothing compared to those that congratulate and greet the non-Muslim on their false festivals. How about that for integration? As I have been saying before, has anybody asked the Muslims do they want to integrate with us, or is it just deluded, wishful thinking? Especially when you consider that the ideology forbids befriending the kafir or the non-believer. Quran chapter 5 verse 51, O you who believe, do not take the Jews and Christians as friends. He amongst you who taketh them for friends is one of them. I am reminded of the Muslim shopkeeper from Glasgow who was murdered in 2016 because he put out a Twitter post, Good Friday and a very happy Easter, especially to my beloved Christian nation. A taxi driver from Bradford was jailed for a minimum of 27 years for the barbaric and premeditated murder of the shopkeeper who he was stabbed multiple times before stamping on his head. In a statement released through his lawyer, he said that this attack all happened for one reason and no other issue, and that the shopkeeper had disrespected the messenger of Islam, Prophet Muhammad. As the guilty man was being led from the dock, he raised his fist and shouted Allah Akbar, which raised his supporters to do the same and shout Allah Akbar back from the public gallery. In Austria, up to 100,000 Austrians with dual Turkish citizenship could be stripped of their dual citizenship, citing violations of nationality laws, which only allows one nationality, but allows Turks to vote in elections in Turkey. The Austrian Vice-Chancellor has proposed halting applications from Turkey of citizenship, citing lack of cooperation from the Turkish government in the providing a list of names of those in Austria who voted in Turkish elections. The Vice-Chancellor had previously said that all Turks in Austria who had voted for Erdogan should go back to Turkey. After the closure of 7 radical Turkish-backed mosques and the deportation of imams and their families, Erdogan, who got 72% of the votes on the Turks in Austria, responded by saying, "They say they are going to kick out our religious men from Austria. These measures taken by the Austrian Prime Minister are, I fear, leading the world towards a war between the cross and the crescent." More from that canary in the coal mine, Sweden. State broadcaster SVT has sparked a fury of criticism over its coverage of the 2 murders by Islamists in Morocco, saying that the 2 murders had nothing to do with Islam, describing the murders from neck wounds rather than the ISIS style of beheading. One columnist for Svenska Dagbladet who watched the video said that he felt as a journalist he had to watch it. Said, "I have seen many horrible things. This was much worse. It is the worst thing I have ever seen. It will haunt me forever." But SVT also warned Swedes not to share the video, as that is punishable with up to 4 years imprisonment. In Stockholm, a 25-year-old African man who has since been fired from his job as a trainee school teacher has been jailed for raping a woman on board a cruise ship after convincing a maid who spoke no Swedish to let him into the locked cabin of the victim, who woke up to find the undressed man raping her. He was jailed for 1 year and 9 months and cannot be deported as he is a Swedish citizen. Charlie Flanagan, take note, those paper Irish that you have given citizenship to, 120,000 since 2011 in 135 ceremonies, should have dual citizenship for up to 5 years and must be deported if found guilty of any serious criminal offences from rape, murder and social welfare fraud. Also in Sweden, an international security expert who has spent many years during a long and diverse career, who has been hired by the governments of Pakistan, Ethiopia and Mongolia, has said that Sweden is heading towards a civil war, blaming political unwillingness to admit how bad things are and the very close to becoming a failed state. Society plays by old and outdated rules, and the criminals play by completely different rules. The pity mode with coffee and buns does not work. They must adopt a zero tolerance and approach and implement a 3 strikes and you're out approach, incapacitating these dangerous people and get them off the streets. Václav Klaus, the former Czech president between 2003 and 2013, has hit out at the European Parliament saying that there is no democracy in the European Parliament. It's a joke, adding that mass migration, co-organised by the European political elite based on multiculturalism, is, in my opinion, the main threat to European society and European culture. Klaus, who has never been afraid to speak his mind, once said that the Maidan protest in the Ukraine was an artificial event created by the West and the United States. He has also argued that the environmental movement has transformed itself into an ideology that seeks to restrict human activities at any cost. In the UK, Home Secretary Sajid Javid, who is of Pakistani origin from Rochdale, said that he would consider stripping those convicted of grooming gang offences of British citizenship and deport them back to Pakistan, but only if they had dual citizenship, saying that I am very much aware of the need for politicians to be careful with language when it comes to gang-based child exploitation. If you look at all the high-profile cases, there is a high propensity of men from Pakistani heritage. There could be some cultural reasons that could lead to this type of behaviour. How many of these men of Pakistani origin have slipped over the border into the Republic and set up here, some possibly as taxi drivers or security guards? Isn't it strange that there has been no update on the rape of the woman in Dublin by a taxi driver before Christmas, with the guards releasing a photo fit of the rapist? It has been revealed that our L'Oreal Taoiseach, because he's worth it, has spent €100,000 per month on spin machines since taking office. A breakdown of his €1,794,678 is as follows: 30,000 on public relations, 531,532 on communications, and 1,248,596 on advertising, providing a Taoiseach that is substantially lacking in substance but all about image, is proof that he's the best leader money can buy. I hope you all had a very happy Christmas and have managed to remove all traces of Brussels sprouts for another year, a vegetable that, in my opinion, serves only one purpose, and that is of a projectile to an annoying relative. And I would like to mention St. Stephen's Day is named after the first Christian martyr who in AD 34 was stoned to death for blasphemy at the age of 29. It is worth noting that in 2016, 110,000 Christians were killed, and in 2017, 95,000 Christians were killed, a fact that barely gets any mention. And in the words of Aldous Huxley, facts do not cease to exist if they are not ignored. Well, folks, just a couple of comments. Thanks very much for listening. I know I have a couple of new subscribers, so please feel free to comment afterwards, and a very happy new year to you all, and talk to you next week. Bye bye.